The sun sank low over the Arizona frontier, turning the plains to molten gold and the sky to fire. Dust hung in the air like memory, thick and choking, as a lone rider crossed the horizon. Her name was Serafina Greyhawk, born of two worlds, an Apache mother and a white father, and belonging to neither. The army had burned her village 3 years ago. They said it was an accident during a skirmish, but Serafina had watched her mother's body fall among the flames. That night, she made a vow beneath the stars. She would not rest until every man responsible paid with blood. The frontier whispered her name like a curse. Some called her the Ghost Rider of the Red Mesa. Others said she was a demon sent by the desert itself. But to her, vengeance was not evil. It was justice unfulfilled. She tracked her enemies one by one, scouts, soldiers, and bounty hunters, leaving them cold in the dust. Her last name on the list was Elias Boone, a former cavalryman turned rancher, the man who led the patrol that burned her home. She found him living near the San Pedro River, alone, tending cattle with the quiet guilt of a man haunted by his own past. He had once been proud. Now he moved like someone carrying a grave inside him. Serafina had been watching him for days from the ridge, studying his patterns, his routines, his face. Every time she saw him kneel by the water to wash his hands, she remembered her mother's screams. Tonight, she told herself, the desert would finally take what it was owed. When the moon rose, she rode down the ridge, her horse's hooves muffled by sand. Elias was fixing a lantern outside his barn when the shadow of her hat appeared in the doorway. "Who's there?" he called out, reaching for his rifle. The answer came swift, a gunshot that shattered the glass lamp beside him. "Don't move," she said, stepping out of the darkness. Her voice was steady, low, almost too calm. The moonlight caught her face, sharp, fierce, beautiful, eyes dark as obsidian. He froze, lowering his rifle slowly as if facing a ghost. You look familiar," he whispered. "You should," she said coldly. "You killed my mother. He could have lied. He could have begged." But Elias Boone simply nodded, eyes glistening with something that wasn't fear. "I remember," he said quietly, "and I've remembered every day since." His honesty struck her like a bullet. This wasn't the man she had imagined, not a monster, not a villain drunk with power. He was broken, scarred, carrying a grief that mirrored her own. "You expect me to pity you?" she spat, raising her gun. "No," he said, "just make it quick." Something inside her faltered. His calmness unnerved her. The way he looked at her, not with defiance, but with a strange acceptance. She pulled the trigger halfway, then stopped. "Why didn't you run?" she asked. "Because maybe I deserve it," he replied. His words hung heavy in the night air. She should have fired. Instead, she found herself lowering the gun, hating the weakness that trembled in her hand. "You don't get to die so easily," she hissed. "You'll live long enough to feel what I felt." That night, a sandstorm swept through the desert. Serafina stayed in his barn waiting for morning, her revolver never leaving her grip. But as the wind howled outside, something unexpected happened. He offered her water, patched a cut on her arm she hadn't noticed, and spoke softly of his own guilt. How the fire that killed her mother had haunted him more than any war. "I was following orders," he said, voice raw. "But every time I close my eyes, I see her face. I see yours." She wanted to hate him. Every fiber in her body screamed for it. Yet as the storm raged outside, she realized that hate was no longer her only burden. There was something else, something dangerous, human, and unwanted stirring beneath it. As dawn broke, she watched him sleep against the barn wall, the light painting his face in gold. She should have left, should have ended it. Instead, she found herself watching the slow rise and fall of his chest, the way his hand still rested near his rifle even in sleep, as if ready to pay the price at any moment. She whispered into the dawn, "One day, Elias Boone, I will find the courage to hate you again." But in her heart she knew she already couldn't. Days turned into weeks, and vengeance began to blur into something she could no longer name. Serafina stayed near the ranch, telling herself she was only waiting for the right moment to strike. Yet each day she found another reason to delay. The way he treated his horses gently, the quiet songs he hummed while fixing fences, the kindness in his eyes when he spoke of things long lost. He taught her how to mend leather, she taught him how to track coyotes in the dust. They spoke little, but silence itself grew soft between them. Somewhere between anger and forgiveness the lines began to fade. But the past has a way of finding those who try to escape it. One evening, as twilight bled across the horizon, 3 bounty hunters rode into Boone's land, men who once served with him in the army. They wanted the Apache ghost who had been haunting their patrols for years. "We heard she's around here," one of them sneered. "If you're hiding her, Boone, you're as good as dead." Elias tried to mislead them, but they were men of violence, and soon the barn went up in flames once again, history repeating itself like a cruel echo. Serafina fought fiercely beside him, her bullets singing vengeance, her eyes wild with fury. When the smoke cleared, 2 of the men lay dead, but the third fired a shot that caught Elias in the shoulder. She killed the last one before his body even hit the ground. She fell beside him, blood and smoke staining her hands. "Don't you dare die now," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Seems I've seen this story before, only this time the fire took mercy." Her eyes filled with tears, real, hot, unfamiliar tears. "Why do you care?" She demanded. "After everything, why would you protect me?" His voice was a broken whisper. "Because maybe saving you is the only way I'll ever save myself." She pressed her forehead against his, trembling. For the first time since she was a child, she felt something stronger than vengeance, forgiveness, fragile and terrifying. Their lips met, not in desire but in surrender. The kiss was not gentle. It was desperate, raw, and filled with everything they could never say. That kiss didn't erase the past, but it changed its meaning. It turned fire into warmth, hate into healing. When he recovered, they left together, not as lovers escaping the law, but as 2 lost souls searching for peace. They rode south into the desert where no flags flew, where no one cared what name you bore or what blood ran in your veins. For months, they lived in a small cabin by the canyon, sharing silence, laughter, and scars. He would tell her stories of his childhood. She would teach him her people's songs. And every night, under the vast western sky, he would kiss the hand that once held a gun to his heart. Years later, travelers passing through the desert spoke of a ranch by the river where a woman with fire in her eyes lived with a man who had forgotten how to hate. Some said they'd seen her riding alone at dusk, her hair catching the sunset, her laughter echoing like a promise. Others said the pair had vanished one night, riding into the horizon as if the desert itself had taken them back. But the wind still carried their story, a tale of vengeance that became love, and of 2 broken souls who found redemption in each other's arms. They say the desert never forgets blood, but sometimes it remembers love too. She came for revenge, and found her destiny instead, and long after the fire faded, their story still rides on the wind, a reminder that even in the wildest of frontiers, the heart remains untamed. If this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Every week we bring you more forgotten legends of love, vengeance, and redemption from the untamed Wild West. Ride with us, because out here, every story leaves a mark.